Hello, hello, hello. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Today we're going to talk about sharing tips on how to feel more self-love for yourself. And so I put together 10 tips, and we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of what they actually say and what else is possible. If you have thoughts about a tip that reminds you of something and you want to add it, feel free to add it to the comment section. I'll get back to the comment section here. And we'll have a chat about that. And I will ask you to, share whatever it is that you have, because we would love to know. Obviously, no one person knows it all. So let's see where we're going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and share the slide deck. There's only 10 of those. And I'm sure you can still see me on the slide there. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next one. So the first tip is to acknowledge and accept your flaws. Like, well, what the heck does that mean? And why do I have to acknowledge and accept my flaws, right? Well, it means that we can only love ourselves to the extent that we can love the not great stuff, right? And as we love the not great stuff, doesn't mean we want it to stay there. It means we want to say, okay, I'm here and I want to be here. And as I at least accept that I have this flaw, then I can do something with it. Because mostly what happens is the parts we don't want to see, they live in this part of our brain, which is kind of like a semi-conscious area, and we're not paying attention to them. So if we're not paying attention to them, we can't shift and change them. And what do we want to do is pay attention to them so we can say, I like this part, I want to keep it. I don't like this part. How do I get rid of it? How do I shift away from it or change it? The next one would be to reframe your thoughts. Now, trying to focus on the positive in any situation and practice gratitude for what you have is awesome and wonderful. But what about if we could move that a little bit further and make that a little bit more understanding? So reframing my thoughts might be, I'm complaining about another person. I don't like what they've done. I can see the negative aspects there. What is it that I see about myself? Now, it doesn't mean that I'm bad or wrong. It's just, how can I maybe do things differently? How can I look at it differently? So I'm hearing reframe my thoughts from maybe speaking negatively about other people or even myself and shifting that so that I'm now finding what positive thing can I do, and not just to think like an affirmation, not that that's bad, but it's not just, I want to think pretty thoughts, but it's like, what can I actually do? What is a step I can take? So the next slide is spend more time alone. Now, there are people that are extroverts. They are the social butterflies and they want to get out there and they just can't wait to be with people. And there's nothing wrong with that. But whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, an ambivert, or some other vert, I don't know how many there are. How often do we spend a little time by ourselves to think about what we think about? I hope that doesn't sound too bizarre, but when we think about what's going on in our life, we're bringing that from the regions of our brain that aren't so aware, bringing them forward into the conscious brain so that we can actually pay attention to, oh, that's what happened. Oh, I'm seeing this differently now, right? So we spend time alone so that our brains have time to think. If we're constantly, on the TV, if we're constantly playing video or on Facebook or wherever, and we don't give our brains a moment to just quiet and listen, it's going to be very challenging for us to move forward in our lives. So if you don't want to and you're scared to, I totally get that. There are ways around that. Feel free to talk to me. I'm going to show you step 1 of moving forward at the end of this. All right, reflecting on your feelings and thoughts to get to know yourself better. And I do want to say one more thing about that. I hear people say, well, I was taught that. I was raised to believe that. And just that statement can be so pivotal. If we're taught to say love blue or hate blue or whatever, but if we're taught a particular thing, is that how I really feel? Because I was taught that, That's what I was desired for them, for me to believe. But is that what I really believe? So if that's the case, great. But if it's not the case, that's how you get to really know yourself, because you get to go, wow, I'm really not a blue person. I want to be a green person or a yellow person. Not being political, just picked a color out of the sky. Anyway, all right, next one is practicing self-care. Now, there's a lot of people that talk about self-care, just as this slide says: exercising, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, and engaging in hobbies. And those are super important. Those are making sure that you're getting your emotional needs met by participating with other people that maybe can give you some of the things that you need that you're not getting maybe in the household that you're in. But I believe that self-care also means, if something's happening, am I able to set a boundary about that? Do I know what my core beliefs are? And do I understand if they're being challenged or violated? What empowering beliefs do I have that I walk around in a good way? What disempowering beliefs do I walk around in that are actually damaging to me being able to move forward? And there's several of those, because to me, practicing self-care isn't always out there, right? It isn't always I go out there to exercise. I look out there for recipes to eat healthy. I go over there to go to sleep. I'm with it, obviously. And I go and I'm engaging in hobbies. All of these are awesome, don't get me wrong. But the self-care I'm talking about is, how do I go inside of myself so that I'm actually processing the thinking, the beliefs, the values, the needs, the feelings that I have on a daily basis. Okay. All right. So those of you that are watching this and you're not on the live, put hashtag replay, and please feel free to share your tip or belief, or if I've said something that you agree with or disagree with, feel free to leave your comments. We welcome all of it because it's all valid. Whether I agree with it or not, it doesn't mean that it's not working for you, right? So share, share, share. All right. The next slide, set boundaries. This is really big. Setting boundaries. Well, it might be easy to go, well, learn to say no when it's needed. Don't be afraid to prioritize yourself and your needs. But if you have a life that when you did try to do that, you were either put down, shamed, punished, yelled at, or some bad thing happened, this may be a very challenging thing for you to do. So learning how to set boundaries may be more appropriate for you. I think that's the biggest thing for me in what I do. I teach the skills of how to do something versus just saying, well, learn to say no. I teach you step by step by step. How do you do that, right? Okay, so is this a great tip? It is. And if you can just learn to say no, do it. Because when you're taking care of yourself, that's showing yourself love. We can do it by prioritizing ourselves, by setting boundaries. But if we don't know how to do that, or if we're too afraid to do it, or if there's that discomfort, like, oh, no, I can't do that. Maybe there's some issues around feeling unworthy, unlovable, undeserving. This is where people like me come in, where you can have that kind of conversation where you can say, this is where I am and this is where I'd like to be. So kind of a GPS. And just like a GPS goes, we're going to go up here 3 blocks, we're going to take a right, and we're going to go to the left, and we're going to go a mile. And step by step by step, as a GPS, that's sort of what I do as a coach. I take you step by step by step. I'm sure a lot of people do this. You've got to find who it is that you feel most comfortable with. Thanks for the love, you guys. I appreciate that. Feel free to tell us who's here. And if you have anything to share. If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay and please share. I'd love to gather more ways that people share love with themselves, and put it together another slide deck and see where we go from there. Okay, tip number 6, forgive yourself. This could be a very, very challenging one, or it could be something that somebody just needs permission to do that. So everyone makes mistakes, and it's important to be able to forgive yourself and move on. It's a true statement, but is it really that easy? Is it just that easy to go, okay, I shouldn't have done that, I'm going to forgive myself and move on? For some people it might be, but it makes me wonder, like, what kind of work have they done up to this point? We're just doing that, makes it easy, good for you, go for it. If it's not easy, there's a reason why. Like, again, what is going on where you may feel like you're not worthy of forgiving yourself? I would challenge that, because everybody is worthy of it. But if you're feeling that, I want you to honor that feeling, but I want you to honor it in the sense that it's trying to tell you something. So forgiving ourselves, there is something that I do that I call it a self-love adventure, because forgiving ourselves, or self-forgiveness, is a quality of love. Now, there's a lot of qualities of love, such as, I'll just give you a few. Patience, self-patience. It's kind of easy to be patient with other people. How easy is it to be patient with myself? It's kind of easy to be a little bit compassionate for other people when they mess up, or they screwed something up, or they did something they didn't mean to do. But how compassionate can you be for yourself and with yourself? Forgiveness. I like to look at forgiveness like this. Let's say I'm trying to create a new habit. Every day I'm late for work because I can't find my car keys, and I just decide, dang it, I'm going to put them in the same spot in the bowl by the door every day when I come home. And the next day I'm rushing to get out the door and they're not there. Oh, so frustrating. So I can practice a patience and go, you know what? I just started this new desire. Can I be a little patient with myself that after decades of doing it this other way, I'm only on day 1, right? And that's how I can forgive myself for not being perfect, for not getting it right the first time, for not just being perfect, I guess is the best word to use. So for not being perfect, right? Changes in our habits take time. Forgiving ourselves for not being perfect too quickly is how I like to look at self-forgiveness. How do you look at self-forgiveness? Is it that same kind of way? Or is there a sense that you need to forgive yourself for everything you've ever done? If you've been fussed at people because you got angry about something, or if you just don't want to deal with people, you want to run away from stuff. Do you feel like you have to forgive yourself for every time you shut down because you just didn't know how to take care of something? Like, what is your definition of self-forgiveness? Number 7, do something you enjoy. I love this because I think that this is very, very beneficial for us. So many of us, especially women, and I don't mean to categorize, but many women, especially like maybe even the generation before me and after me, we're taught we've got to take care of everything and everyone else before we can take care of ourselves. And so if, and only if, there's time at the end of the day for me to do something for me, well, then I can go ahead and do it. What we don't realize is sometimes we create that monster with that assumption that we were taught that, and so we have to do that thing. But that doesn't even mean that the people in our household want us to do that. I heard a story of a woman that felt because she was the woman, the mom, whatever, it was her job to cook the meal every evening for supper, and she hated it with a passion. She hated figuring it out. She hated shopping for it. She hated chopping it up. She hated cooking it. And when they were sitting around the table, she let everybody know just how much she hated it. And then she took a course where she set a boundary. She learned how to set a boundary. And she said, I'm not cooking supper anymore. And everybody was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God, she's not going to do it anymore. Like, I'll take Mondays, I'll take Wednesdays, right? Everybody was like, we'll order pizza on Thursday. Because for her to stop cooking supper, she was able to do the boundary, and she stepped into a place of being able to like love herself, but out of a sense of frustration and irritation. But by her deciding, I'm not going to cook supper anymore. That took all that pressure away from her, and she was no longer angry at supper, and everybody enjoyed that time together so much more now that she had stopped cooking. So let's look at what are we doing that we're actually forcing ourselves to do that maybe we really don't need to do. And we're not going to know what that is until we start taking it apart and looking at each piece, right? So maybe if you find something, you can fill it in with something like pleasurable. Taking care of ourselves with exercise, going for a walk, that's more than just enjoyment. That's actually healthy, beneficial for you. You will live longer. You'll be able to produce more, whatever produce means to you, with your family, produce your work, whatever it is you're doing. So definitely do something you enjoy, and maybe even just go block it into your calendar, especially if you're the type of person that says, I can't even take 15 minutes to soak in the tub. I have too much to do. Something's going on there. That's too busy. That's too much. I'd like to take a look at that calendar and see what's actually going on, but that's for another time. Today, this is about what can you do, sharing tips, how we love ourselves, what is good, right? What is good in our lives. So if you have something to share, please share it. And if you are watching the replay, hashtag replay and share then. Still want to hear about it. I'll even respond. Okay, next slide. Celebrate your successes. Whoop, whoop. Yes, absolutely. Acknowledge when you're successful. The keys at the front door in the bowl. Let's say you realize for 3 days in a row they've been there. Celebrate that. Oh my God, that's amazing, because you're literally reprogramming, retraining new brain cells, new neural pathways. Your brain is like, this is hard, but I'm okay. Like, okay, there's this thing we're doing and it's a repeat and there's a pattern to that. Okay, I'm kind of getting it, right? It takes a minute. And the older you are, the more minutes it takes. But the brain is they say neuroplasticity, so kind of not plastic, but malleable. And it can do this. It can actually form these new neural pathways to find new ways to do things, better habits, better patterns, better behaviors. For who? For you, right? And loving yourself in and of itself is a beautiful thing, and it is the best thing you can do for yourself. If we take it too far and we leave everyone else behind, no, me, you're out because I'm loving myself. That's not what we're talking about. Loving ourselves is including other people. I can love other people and love myself. And if something comes up and it's a challenge, well, then let's weigh the situation and see what's going on. It's not a one rule fits all. It is what's happening. Who can lead this time? Maybe the other person is better in whatever's going on. Let's just say directions. Maybe this person is better at directions, then they lead. We can still love ourselves while they're leading. If for somebody else, we'll use cooking food, that person can lead, and we can all still love ourselves. And then maybe there's a mutually beneficial agreement that can be worked out. But we've got to talk about it. We've got to communicate where our frustrations are. If we're just sitting there bitching and bitching and bitching, but we're not coming up with any solutions, all anybody hears is, oh, they're miserable and angry. How quickly can I get away from them? But if there's a sit down, hey, I really don't like cooking. Have y'all noticed? I do not like doing this. Who can help out? Now, hey, meet me. Now we've got some solutions going. Then those aren't the only possibilities, right? And when those things happen, celebrate the success. Whether you celebrate with yourself, call up a friend, get on Facebook and say it, give yourself a whoop whoop, right? Even if it's small. Doesn't matter. Success is success. It's always that movement forward. And number 9, my favorite, speak to yourself positively. And that doesn't mean pretend bad things don't happen. Bad things happen. They do. And the more we acknowledge them and pay attention to them, the more they come from being hidden to conscious, the more we can do something about it. This says, be mindful of the language you use when talking to yourself. Your self-talk matters. That is 1,000,000% true. So let's go use the keys again. I can be going, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I didn't put the keys there. What is wrong with me? I'm so bad. I'm a terrible person. I can't even get the smallest thing correct, right? A lot of us go around every day, all day, off and on, talking to ourselves this way. Why? Because that's how we heard it. It stayed in our brain. When I say those who cared for you, that gave you care, can be anything from parents to other relatives, siblings, neighborhood people, school, the list goes on and on. But it's in the past, we heard the words that are very, very, an ugly tone, a mean tone, a condemning or shameful tone. You're bad, you're wrong. What's wrong with you? And then we grow up going, I'm bad, I'm wrong, what's wrong with me? Can we turn that around and mean it? Yes, we can. We can do that by practicing the qualities of love that I talked about earlier. There's 4 really important ones, although there's like over 120. But there's compassion, forgiveness, patience, and gratitude. So using our little key example again, if we forget to put the key in the bowl and we've done it for a week and all of a sudden we forgot, can we be compassionate that maybe there was a lot going on? Can we be patient with the fact that, okay, I learned it. I did it for a week and I messed up, but I'm going to self-forgive and go, I'm going to recommit, and I'm going to make sure that I keep recommitting so that that new neural pathway is what my brain ultimately switches over to. And also, I can be grateful for the fact that I'm able to do it, and my brain is that awesome, and so am I, because I wanted a new behavior, and I kept working at it because I have faith in me. I believe I can do it, and I did it. So those are the 4 qualities of love, which is compassion, patience, forgiveness, gratitude. Self-compassion, self-patience, self-forgiveness, self-gratitude. We know how to be grateful for other people and other things. We've been taught that since day one, right? I don't think it's very difficult for us to do that. It may be more difficult for us to have forgiveness for self. It's easier, like, okay, I forgive them. They shouldn't have done this or that, right? But do we forgive ourselves? But it's not about, it's the forgiving of ourselves that includes the qualities of love. How can I speak with myself? Because we're talking about speaking positively. So when I hear myself going, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that. Ay, ay, ay. I'm actually doing that thing. I am talking to myself in that way, and I don't want to do that. What can I do? Okay, I'm messed up. I want to fix it. I want to be patient with myself. I want to give myself a break, forgiveness. I want to give myself a break. I really did have a long, hard week. Something bad happened, whatever, right? And so it's reframing it in a way where we take the ugliness out and we put the love in, right? So that's speaking to yourself positively. And that's your self-talk. Ba, 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 all that's going on. All right, the last and final slide is surround yourself with positive people. I will go a little bit stronger. Yes, definitely surround yourself with positive people. I really like the bottom part more. Spend time with people who bring out the best in you and lift you up. That's just the best. But what is it about those people? This is the part where I start digging in. What is it about those people that I love to be around that are bringing out the best in me and they are filling me up? What's happening? And I don't mean them. I mean, what's going on inside of me where I really like being with them? Because other people won't like being with them for whatever the reason. So if I know that it's that my needs are getting fulfilled. So what needs do I have that over here, they're not getting fulfilled, but when I go over here, my needs are getting fulfilled. So let's say I have a need for connection, right? Maybe that deep, intimate conversation, quality times, beautiful. I'm over here with these people. They're dismissing me. They don't care. They're busy doing these other things. My needs are not getting met. I go over here to these people and they're like, oh, come on in. We were just getting ready to talk about X and it's wonderful. And we want your input and we're talking and it's So we're getting all filled up. Our needs are getting met. And when my needs are getting met, as yours too, there's a lightness, a happiness, a joy that emits from our body, right? There's more love coming at us, and we feel like we can swish that around and stick that right back out there and give more love back. All right. So that is the 10 slides of the tips to greater self-love. So, I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you the one last one. So if you happen to be a person that feels a great pain, this, just like it says, why does it hurt so much? Maybe you're feeling like, I don't know why it hurts so much and why I seem to lash out at people. Something happens and I just explode, right? And then I feel terrible about it. There's a lot of pain going on. Why is that happening? Maybe you're the type of person that something happens and you don't want to have anything to do with it. And you're like, I got to bolt, right? I got to get out of here and go. But then you're like, why is that so upsetting to me? Why does that hurt so much? And then maybe you're somebody that, like, something happens and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But I know I don't like the way I feel, right? There's pain in there. It hurts. And the final one is like, something happened and I need to fix it. I need to try to do something. And there's this nervous energy because I don't know what to do. And that may not be registering as this pain, but emotionally, when I can't figure it out, our brains kind of register that as a bit of a trauma, and it's uncomfortable, and the body produces all kinds of chemicals because of it. And they're not comfortable. It's not the happy chemicals, it's the unhappy chemicals. So not good, bad, not right, wrong, no judgment at all. But if you want to understand more about what all of that is, I did a masterclass webinar. It's called Why Does It Hurt So Much? Just like it shows on the screen. To get to it is www.whydoesithurtsomuch, all one word. You don't have to capitalize. I just did it so you could read it easier. But if you are interested in that, go check that out. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. It's got a worksheet with it. See if you resonate with it. We don't have to have that pain. But if we don't find out what it is, where it came from, why it's there, what is it trying to tell me? Because there's a message there. There's something going on. It can be dissolved and diffused. It can be. But we've got to learn about it before that can happen. It's not like a bewitched moment. It's more like, martial arts. I got to learn how to do the katas, right? The patterns that they do. Like learning a new instrument, I got to learn how. When we learned a language, I needed to learn how. Math, reading, all those things. We learned these tools that turned into skills. The skills turned into us being able to do them fairly well. So you think about, you learned a tool on letters equal words, right? And then we start putting together the words, and then we start reading sentences. And now we're very accomplished at reading. The same thing with writing. When's the last time you had the thought, how am I going to write my name? Because I don't know how to write the letters. We don't. Maybe typing. There are things that it's a tool that as we practice it becomes a skill. And as we practice that, we master that skill, inner mastery. And this is the same thing. And I can remember there was a time when my emotional pain was way up here, like the 10s. And now those same types of things happened. I've taken the tools I learned, turned them into skill. I don't know that I've mastered them, but man, it's so much better. I'm like down in the 3 and the 2 because I know what it is, why it's there, what it's trying to tell me, and how to dissolve that, how to diffuse it so that it becomes less and less painful. All right. Why does it hurt so much? Is step 1 to let you know what's going on with it, and it will give you that information, and then it'll help you understand what to do next. All right, I'm Deb Pearson, helping you become more awesome on the inside. Guys, have a happy Valentine's Day, and I will see you next week.